You're listening to Madmen Sports, sponsored by Black Button Distilling. To my left, Zach. To my right, Diamond Dave. And yours truly, Jake. What's all going on, guys?
What up?
Scary place? You guys nervous at all? I'm a little nervous.
Is Zach okay?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm still recovering from pneumonia. I've been really dizzy lately. Listen.
Busy?
I can't say much more than the fact that I'm glad people are finally taking it seriously. And to the people that are upset that people are taking it seriously, I think it's better to finally, as just a society, to finally be proactive rather than reactive. I mean, how many times do we have to see things like Katrina or Houston or Hurricane Sandy happen before we're finally proactive about things, try to get ahead of things instead of having a disaster to handle, and then now we have to clean up the pieces and have a lot of controversy around it.
Yeah, it's always better to be cautionary than kind of...
Absolutely.
I'd rather take the safer side of things, but that's just me.
Dave, how about you?
I haven't seen anything like this since 9/11, and in that, I mean, lives altered as much as they are right now. Everything's changing. It's crazy with schools being closed, restaurants being affected. There's new rules going in place this week for a lot of new things, and it's just scary. It's life-altering, and there's a debate right now whether the city of Buffalo should cancel the parade or not, and I believe they should.
They already did.
Yeah, I know that, but a lot of people don't believe they should. A lot of people
I
are...
think the debate's over.
Well, a lot of people are angry because the parade is canceled. I think that you can absolutely control this, so you might as well do everything you possibly can.
Yeah, and in the sports world, I mean, everybody's heard it. NBA season's canceled, NCAA tournaments canceled. It's really having a big effect on the sports world, so...
Listen.
Helps the Sabres.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line of it all is I'm glad we're proactive about it, but at Madmen Sports, we're opportunists, so...
We're not selling toilet paper, by the way.
While there's no sports going on, there will be extra Mad Men sports going on.
The Bills have not been affected by this at all. They've been busy all week.
Well, they pulled their...
Well, sure, but they
staff.
have been making moves every single day. Every team pulled their staff back. So
They were the first.
I think
I'll
that's
give
more
them
of a
credit.
requirement.
I'll give them credit. They were the first.
They had a lot of personnel at Clemson's pro day today.
Yeah, they were watching, they had a couple of offensive linemen there. I saw Bobby Johnson running drills. They had a linebacker. They had Babbage running in drill there. Brandon Beam was very involved. T. Higgins was a focal point as well. There's a lot of excitement going around the Bills, but while also we're going to try to do our best to give extra content. Jake, we're going to start trying to do some trivia games that we have available, me versus Dave. I mean, we're trying to make as much content as possible while there isn't even NBA. I don't even think you can watch tennis nowadays.
Yeah.
Tennis is out. It's just golf
Why
and NASCAR.
would you if you could?
Just golf and NASCAR, which, golf is fine. But
Yeah, it gets weird when it comes to being outdoors. I mean, there's less of a chance than you're in a confined space, but I mean, you still don't want to take the risk as
no
it is.
fans at golf. I don't know what people will do. Listen, it's exciting because, it's exciting times because the Bills have been able to get ready for the season. The season's right around the corner. They're still, bouncing back and forth what's going to go on with free agency. But it's also, like Dave said, Dave's scared. I don't blame him for being scared. You should be scared. People should be scared right now.
I'm not
people
scared,
should be
I'm
aware.
aware.
People should be aware and scared at the same time. To be proactive. Everyone says just wash your hands, you're fine. That's not how things work, but continue to wash your hands.
I think it's far beyond the wash your hands stages. I actually get annoyed when people say that. Obviously, you should always wash your hands, whether you're sick or not.
My biggest annoyance is the flu kills more.
Yeah.
I don't know if that'll be the case.
The thing with this is we don't know much about this yet, and that's the thing. There's no cure for it. It's pretty much in God's hands. So the whole...
Nice.
That's why I get annoyed with the whole wash your hands. It's beyond that. Obviously, if you're going to get sick, you're going to get sick. That's why you need to be aware and educate yourself, and that's all. That's how I'll end this, is just educate yourself. Watch the news, but be aware of both sides of the whole thing. Educate yourself, everyone, and be mature about it. If you're sick, be an adult. Don't look up online and get all paranoid and
Don't go to work. Don't go to work if you're sick.
Your work will understand.
Thank you for watching the Rush Limbaugh podcast. We will be pumping out as much content and fear propaganda as we possibly can. Fear bunker. The Bills made some moves this week. This is more of the Madmen Sports phase. Dave's back to patient zero. Listen, if Madmen Sports pops off with the COVID, it's going to be Dave and I. We're in a fight to see who gets it first, and Jake will get it last for some reason because
or not at all.
The virus probably looks at Jake and it's like it's not a suitable host.
Let's start.
I am not.
Let's start real quick with a quick timeline of what
weeks.
Brandon Bean's been doing. So this week,
hold on. Sunday, right? We podcast.
I'm getting there right now. We podcasted on Sunday night. We all went to bed. I woke up early, as I do, probably at 5:30 in the morning. Got to work at 6, and I saw that there was breaking Bills news. The Bills...
To be fair, hold on. I did mention at the end of Sunday's podcast that there was going to be breaking news this week. I don't want to take too much credit, but the source was right.
The Bills randomly signed Josh Norman.
Definitely not random if you watch Madmen Sports.
How excited are you for this pick, Jake?
I look at Josh Norman. There isn't any doubt about it that he had a drop-off over the last 2 years. But I am very excited... Josh Norman back in Sean McDermott's defense. I think that's going to have a big impact on him. He had career years with Sean McDermott as his defensive coordinator, so I kind of look for him not to get fully back, but I look at him to kind of step back.
Zach, hit me with some contract numbers. What is he making?
It's a really loaded contract. He's only guaranteed $4.5 million. There's a lot of incentives, which with a veteran like that, that's kind of on a rebuilding year contract, I would say. This is kind of what you want out of the deal. It's a prove-it deal that, you want him to prove it in the system. Now, I've been kind of hot on my nose. My nose has been hot on this one since the day he got released. Someone told me that it was almost inevitable that he'd sign. The timeline kind of broke out the way it would work towards the weeks coming. And then it was just inevitable that Josh Norman was going to be a Bill. It comes down to the numbers. The numbers looked great. Brandon Bean does the same thing he does every time and just keeps on making things work. And we'll get to more of that later, of course. But Josh Norman, he's going to be fighting for the number 2 spot. There's a lot of excitement going around with the second cornerback position, much like last year. I think this kind of seals the fate for Kevin Johnson not to come back, which will break Dave's heart, but that's okay. His heart's been broken several times.
Can I say I don't agree with you with the fighting for the number 2 spot is his. There's no fighting for it. You think Levi Wallace is going to compete with him?
I think you have to earn everything in the Buffalo Bills roster from 2018 on.
I think that's what they say. I don't think he's earning anything. I think he's the number 2 cornerback, and I think that's awesome. With the 2 great safeties we have back there, Trey White and Norman, and we also have Taron Johnson in the slot, and maybe Levi Wallace could be here. Maybe not. Who cares?
I mean, he's already signed. He's not going to leave.
So he's guaranteed to be here through training camp. That's it, and that's fine. I think that the starting 5 we have back there right now are great. I think that's might be the best in the league. Norman is obviously a shell of his old self, but hopefully McDermott can give him a little diamond action to shine back there.
That's your job.
I just give him out.
Dave was a huge fan of Josh Norman, and then the offseason happened, and then he said he was trash, doesn't want him on the team, and now Dave has flipped the script on Josh Norman. We're going to make a compilation of Dave talking about Josh Norman.
I don't remember ever being a fan of Josh Norman.
Redskins week. You said there's not a chance in hell John Brown catches 2 balls.
I did say that, but then he was inactive, so it had nothing to do with me.
I'm pretty sure he was active.
Josh Norman was inactive, a healthy scratch for the Bills game when the Bills played the Redskins.
Look that up real quick. We'll take 5. I'll give him some content real quick. Listen, I think that Levi Wallace and Josh Norman has an exciting matchup for the spring and the summer because I think that, Levi Wallace hasn't proven to not be the guy. He's had his trials and tribulations, right? But he's always been able to stay in the mix no matter what. Kevin Johnson comes in, he fights for that job. Obviously he was kind of thrusted in a fight with Ryan Lewis and Levi Wallace the year that Devonta Davis kind of crapped out, of course. Huh?
Just left.
Yeah, he was like, I'm out of here, which is funny enough.
Who's the 3 people that got the Bills kept this week?
Levi Wallace, Robert Foster, and then they extended or picked up the option on Spencer Long's
picked up the
contract?
option on Spencer Long.
Josh Norman was not on the inactive lists Week 9 against the Buffalo Bills.
Do you have his stats at all?
I can look him up.
And also, I bet the fans don't really give a shit. So
No.
we can also move on.
Yeah, no, for sure. And listen, I think Josh Norman in the McDermott system is a different player than Josh Norman on the Redskins. Listen, if people want to say that he was terrible on the Redskins, you're not wrong. He was terrible on the Redskins. But also, what is it, 5, 10 years, 15 years at this point? Tell me one good player on the Redskins during that timeline. You don't go there to thrive. You go there to get paid and then die.
Josh Norman led the team in tackles on that game with 6 tackles and 1 assist.
Because he was getting caught on, that's for damn sure. Because John Brown's a beast.
So, Jake, what did the Bills do with Croft today? Didn't something happen with that?
Yeah,
Hold on, let's not go too far ahead here. So they pick up Foster, which I don't think surprised anyone. I know that Dave wasn't a big fan of him staying around, especially because he thinks that they can improve that position. I think after what we saw last year, I don't think it's a doubt that we can improve that position. Dave, give me your Foster thoughts. I know you weren't a big fan.
Well,
fan
again,
of
these
Foster.
players are only here through training camp. There's no commitment to keep them. They're just giving them a second chance on training camp. I think Foster is training camp fodder. He's not going to be here. He's just more of a favor for the Bills. He's cheap. He's a body at this point. Foster hasn't earned a spot on this team. He's been a huge disappointment.
And then I think Spencer Long was a great depth signing.
Definitely.
Interior linemen, you only have 3 that start, and then you have a starter on most teams that are now going to
Spencer Long was a great keep.
And now you have a starter on most teams that is going to rotate in whenever there's an injury, which we saw Mitch Morse go down a handful of times last year. Quinton Spain's been, well, if he comes back, we haven't gotten to that point in the podcast. But Quinton Spain was solid last year. Feliciano can step into that center position as Long did with the Jets. You know, there's a lot of action there. Listen, they have a lot of depth building at the offensive line, and we'll get into that a little bit deeper, a little bit longer, a little bit later. And then the Levi Wallace thing, like we mentioned, the Bills went into this week with 1 cornerback, and now they have 3, besides obviously Taron Johnson in the nickel slot position there. But listen, they have 3 outside corners now, which I think going into the draft season, free agent season, you are more prepared as an organization with that going on. So Tyler Croft, you ready to speak on that one, Jacob?
Yeah, Tyler Croft has restructured his contract.
Beautiful.
He's now due $4 million in the year of 2020,
Fine.
with $3.4 million of that fully guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
His final year of his contract has been deleted, so it kind of shortens up that contract. We know he's been struggling with injury. He played, what was it, like 8 games last year?
I would say 6 to 8, yeah.
6 to 8, and had 6 catches for 71 yards.
And a touchdown.
And a
An
touchdown.
important one. But, Dave, you want to take your first swing at that Tyler Croft one?
I do. Get rid of this dude. You stop wasting our time. I'm not a Tyler Croft fan at all. Knox is the future. Sweeney might be the future. And Kroom's still going to be on this team probably. I don't want Croft on. I think this was just. I don't get this move.
I'll give you this. You have a lot of young guys in that tight end room. Croft, 27, kind of gives that experience to the room, kind of coach those guys up. Because, Dawson Knox, he's raw. He didn't get a lot of passes thrown to him in college. Had a shaky rookie season in terms of drops. I think Tyler Croft is that guy in this locker room to kind of coach them along.
Yeah, you still have Lee Smith. I mean,
See,
forever.
I think the Bills'
Different.
thought process is somewhere in the middle of you guys. Because I do think they deleted the last year of the contract because they realized that he's not going to pan out the way he thought. They were able to get $800,000 back onto the cap, which, take that for what you want. It's $800,000.
That's a lot of money to me.
It's a lot of money to the 3 of us, and maybe the 4 of you. I don't know. But
There's more than 4.
well, I meant the one watching, but or listening. But listen, I think that the Tyler Croft move was also a little big part of what Jake said. You gotta have a guy in here that's got experience. Sweeney's going into a second year. Croft's going into or Knox is going into a second year. You don't know what you're going to do with Lee Smith. I think finally we're going to see a battle this year because I think there's leadership places and role in line now. They are going to see, all right, we need to either keep Lee Smith or keep Pat DeMarco, and there's no in between on the two. I think we're finally going to see that battle of the uselessness kind of play out on
Lee
that
Smith
one.
is not used.
So I think Croft, while disappointing last year, now has that prove-it deal that they find ways to give veterans to and see what they can do. Phillips got a prove-it deal. Spain got a prove-it deal. this is just how the Bills organization works. They work things into being prove it, show me, and then if you can't, you're gone. If you can, you're staking around.
Well, don't rule out the fact that the Bills could still bring another tight end on the free agent market. They were in
Austin
on
Hooper.
They were in on Greg Olsen. Obviously, the Panther connection there, but I think they're very active at a tight end right now. I don't think they're done with tight ends. I think Croft is here to probably fight for a job. He's not making great money anymore, and I think the Bills are going to be very active at bringing a tight end in here.
How about Mr. Undrafted signing that?
Can I finish this conversation? That's a terrible transition. I literally had my mouth open.
No, you didn't. Close it.
We
There's
opened
a
at
virus.
the same time. So ready, here it goes. There's a virus. Listen. Oh, yeah, there is a virus. But yeah, I think Croft is probably here to stay. I think he kind of solidifies that room. I don't think they go after one of the big fishes in the tight end world. I think Jimmy Graham, newly on the market.
Thanks.
Don't touch him.
Jimmy Graham had Aaron Rodgers in his career, Drew Brees in his career, and Russell Wilson in his career. He
Don't
cannot
need him.
stay consistent.
Don't
Be
need
done
him.
with this dude.
Yeah, I think the tight ends, Austin Hooper's probably a no-go. I don't think they're going to put any money into him. I think maybe next year, the following year. But I think Croft, now that his contract's a little bit more guaranteed, a little more structured for this season, I think he's probably here to stay.
I hope we don't get one. I'm a fan of Dawson Knox.
Let Tyler Croft get healthy.
Absolutely.
Let's see what he can do healthy.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of getting healthy, there was a healthy offensive line last year, for the most of the part. Last year they brought in 4 new starters for a 5-man rotation, and now they finally have a solidified 5. They are bringing back, it looks like, the same offensive line they did last year. Jake, what's your take on that one? I love this move.
Yeah, Quinton Spain, undrafted, which is crazy, signed
I'm undrafted.
as am I, 3-year, worth $15 million. There was a lot of joy with the other offensive linemen of the Buffalo Bills tweeting out, congratulations to the Quinton Spain. I think it's really good. Like you said, it's really important to solidify and get solid chemistry within the Bills' offensive line. It's such an important position, especially with the maturation process of Josh Allen's career. You need that stability there. I think it's a really good signing. Right tackle seems to be the low spot in this offensive line. Now, that's if we draft or if we go through free agency, that's something to be seen. But I'm very happy
Dave, hit me
for
up
the
with your
outlook of the
pros.
2020 offensive line.
You know I love it. I've been talking about Spain all offseason. I wanted this done. I wanted
Can't
this.
travel
I
there.
wanted this and Kevin Johnson. What?
You can't travel there.
I wanted the Spain pick done all offseason. I'm a huge fan. The guy was healthy every single game. He played every single game. He's very consistent. He helped the run game out massively. He helped Josh Allen run a lot. Why don't you want this guy? It would drive me crazy if you didn't sign him. Glad we did. Good for you. Jake, I think a big topic to talk about is the right tackle position. I saw a report today, and I don't know if it's true because I was working. If the Bills are unhappy with Cody Ford, they're not completely confident in that. Is that accurate?
I think it's tough to be completely confident in Cody
Can I
Ford.
even talk about Quinton Spain?
You
I mean,
can.
we
We're
can
still
get
on the
back to
Quinton
it.
Spain topic because I'll get
we're on
there.
Cody Ford now.
Yeah, you talk too
You
much.
guys are messing this up.
We talked about it before, Pod. This is our podcast now.
Yeah, well,
What do you think of Quinton
do
Spain,
it
Zach?
somewhere else then. So Quinton Spain, I think that the fact that Brandon Beane was able to pull this deal off for the amount is ridiculous. I maybe wouldn't have brought him back if it was for in the $8 or $9 million range, but the $5 million range is almost a steal. I can't believe that they got this deal done for the amount of value. Now, granted, he is a left guard, but they were paying Richie Incognito more per season. I mean, this is just a ridiculous move, and I can't believe that Quinton Spain maybe didn't have the value on the free agent market, but he played great, and I don't know how that the Bills got away with a hometown discount like this. It's really a culture-changing move, honestly.
Yeah, well, you have Feliciano, who's going to be free agent next year. So you want to do everything you can to keep this offensive line intact, and that brings me to my Cody Ford question.
I think it's tough to have full confidence in Cody Ford. You look at the tape; he struggled mightily in mid-season of the 2019 year. He did kind of pick it up towards the end, but tackle, either side, it's a very important position. We want to have that solidified, whether that's Ty Nsekhe getting healthy and taking that role, or we look at Brian Bulaga or any other free agencies, or we look to the draft.
Brian Bulaga.
Give him to me, man.
Listen, I think right tackle, left tackle, they're both tough positions to play because there involves so much movement, especially with the speed that defensive ends and linebackers play at in the NFL. It requires a ton of maturity and like seeing things before they happen. It takes a lot for a rookie to get into that. We remember, Deion Dawkins was a little shaky his first year, definitely not great his second year, but last year he proved to be worthy of a second contract that we look forward to giving him one day, as the Bills organization would do. And then, of course, I think Cody Ford, while having his problems last season, struggles, growth, maturation process.
Not moving his feet.
Yeah, the fact that, there's just a lot of movements, a lot of speed. I think a year of the NFL offseason always helps rookies. I think that's the biggest thing a rookie can do is have a full offseason, especially because that's where most of these NFL players improve themselves. They just go from college to the draft process straight to the NFL. Now they have time to relax, work on their craft a little bit better. This is a huge point, and I think Cody Ford will grow. This definitely solidifies him as your future right tackle. Maybe they still bring in Waddle or Nasaki, as we always talk about, to come in and kind of, keep the competition fresh, keep the depth going. But I think Cody Ford, you can pencil him in a right tackle, and we can kind of see how he moves from here on out. I think we have 5 guys that are moving forward from here on out. That's really cool.
Nice. That's important. It's important to kind of keep that continuity. So I'm excited.
So is that the topics? Because I have a question to ask you, Zach.
Listening.
So with no sports going on and football probably in a halt with the offseason right now because players can't travel for free agency, what are we going to talk about? You got a plan?
Yeah, we're going to keep the Bills content.
No. Be excited about it. What are we talking about?
We're going to keep the Bills content going as much as we can, man. The draft, free agency, we got a lot going on.
Speaking of the draft.
Is the draft in danger of even going on or happening?
I think we could be fanless for the draft. It's probably the best one.
And probably playerless.
Potentially playerless. A lot of travel will be restricted. I think we could just go back to an old-fashioned draft to just calling in. That'd be even more entertaining, and then you can watch us on the live stream. We'll be calling in. We'll get on the conference call with you guys.
This is the perfect time to do a live stream of the draft.
Well,
you really looked out there. But yeah, that's something that we wanted to talk about as well. We will be live streaming the 2020 NFL Draft. Come join us, Madmen Sports, in enjoying the draft. We will be watching it. We will be giving our breakdowns of picks. And we're also going to be running a little contest here. We will be giving a signed Bills Legends jersey, free shipping of course, to the lucky winner who can kind of guess the perfect NFL draft, have the perfect mock draft. Now, of course, trades happen. So, in the event that's the case, everyone will get an extra point. Please send your mock draft to madmensports@gmail.com. We will compile all the contestants and come join us on draft night, April 23rd for round 1. We're going to have a lot of fun. You excited for that? It's going to be a good time.
I love the draft. It's my 3rd favorite day of the year.
What's your first?
Super Bowl.
Second?
Christmas.
Wow. You're a football guy through and through.
Well, I am.
Well, guys, anything else we want to talk about?
Any questions the fans have about, or share your excitement with all these picks the players have, or your thoughts and prayers with the corona? Go ahead and leave your comments, guys. We love seeing them.
Watch out for Shaq Lawson, too.
Yeah, we might have some Shaq Lawson news. He posted some cryptic tweets and Instagrams. We're going to have to see how that goes.
I think my bold prediction is
For life.
this will be the most active day the Bills will have for about 3 weeks. I think the Bills are going to go quiet for a while. I think all teams are because it's going to be hard to get things done.
Let's do another show this week. What do we got?
We're doing it Sunday, aren't we?
Friday.
So Sunday. All right. We're going to try to do 2 a week from here on out until things a little get back to normal. We might even do 3 a week. Just kind of seeing how the schedule breaks out on that. 7 days doesn't really leave for even amount of days off. But we'll see how much we can do. We'll try to keep the content flowing while Corona has sports as a halt. Might even do some trivia episodes, like we said.
We're going to put ESPN out of business.
Some Guess That Player, some Bills talk, some all-time Bills talk. We might even skip into some off-season topics before it even happens while we are in the off-season. I mean, like summer off-season.
We could do a crystal ball podcast.
We'll just rub the top of your head and see what we come up with.
You might like what you touch.
No, I can confirm I will not.
Thank you for Madmen Sports, or thank you for listening and watching to Madmen Sports. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on Apple Music or podcasts. What is it, Jake?
Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts.
Big gulp cylinder.
Listen on Spotify.
Say your prayer and take your vitamins.
All right. Take care and have a great day, guys.
Bye.